wasn't sure what the like.
I started recording. We good? All right. Welcome to the Side Action, episode 13 of season 4. I am Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter. Sorry, Action, I jumped in there a little quick on the recording, so I'm sure we'll get some interesting starts there. But you're in the great West here, doing your tour, a little Vegas trip, a little Arizona, I think you flew to Albuquerque. You're all over the place.
Yeah, we were in Vegas a few days, like we talked about last week, and then flew into Albuquerque and staying with Melissa's family for the weekend. So here in Window Rock, Arizona, the Window Rock studio at the Quality Inn.
Well, it looks good. It's well lit. Sometimes
Good.
I work at those little hotels. I'm at home back. I'm not. I've been all over the place lately, so I'm finally back at the the Ridge Studio, the Edgewater Studio. So after Thanksgiving, so thanks for accommodating everybody. Hopefully you're listening. Had a great Thanksgiving. Here we are on Friday, the 26th, ready for the action. We did have 3 games yesterday. We'll kind of briefly talk about, but other than that, yeah, I mean, we're ready for a big weekend of football and jumping in. So,
Yeah, 3-2 last week. We wished it could have turned out to be 4-1, but Cowboys didn't really show up. We'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
Yeah, or the Brownies, but yeah, let's jump into it. Week 11 recap. I mean, this is actually the first week in a while that the underdogs didn't come in as big as they normally do. I had them at 7 and 8. I mean, still pretty close, but they've been dominating. And then the road dogs at 4 and 4. Still the unders though. The unders are just dominating. 10 and 5 last week again. That's and it continued like yesterday actually on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
the one I bet on, unfortunately. And then road teams 7 and 8 against the spread last week. So a little bit of a correction, I guess, if you could say that, against the teams and the underdogs. But the unders are still dominating. And then I had 3 games this week that actually were affected by the spread, which is a little more than we've seen week over week. It's usually like somewhere in that range, 17% or something. But 3 out of 15 games is more than normal, at least when I've been tracking.
Sure. Yeah, bounce back week for the favorites across the board. Well, not across the board. I guess it was relatively split. And you saw some of the home teams playing well last weekend as well.
That's right. Well, let's talk about some highs from last week. Your team, we picked this game, so we're on the right side. The Colts just went to the Bills and just dominated that team. They ran the ball over them. Jonathan Taylor, monster game, 185 yards, I think, on the ground. They had 264 in the game. Wentz didn't have to do much. And now Jonathan Taylor is a league candidate for the MVP, isn't he?
Yeah, it's crazy how he thrust himself into that race after a couple of monster performances. 5 touchdowns too. I read that he was in the top 3 or 4 of fantasy football weekends in all time.
Oh, yeah.
So that's an impressive day, especially against what was a pretty vaunted rushing defense by the Bills.
We talked about them, obviously, they're not on our lows, but I mean, the Bills just haven't played that great of competition so far. I mean, they looked good last night, and since we're taping this after the Thursday night games, they played pretty good last night and actually ran the ball last night against the Saints. But the Colts, we talked about it. They unfortunately their schedule doesn't get any easier. They play Tampa this week, but they've turned the corner. We'll see if they can keep riding that title wave into the playoffs. Another high was the Chiefs D. We talked about this. You mentioned Dallas didn't come in through for us. They couldn't get a score late. They were in the red zone multiple times, only got field goals. But the Chiefs held them to only 3 field goals in the game. I put free throws in the note. But, Dallas had scored 2 or more touchdowns in every single game this year, and they just really were shut out of the end zone. And the Chiefs defense looked great. I'm not sure if it was more of a Cowboys thing or a Chiefs thing, but we've noticed this over the last several weeks that the Chiefs are playing better D.
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, they held the Cowboys to 4.3 yards per play. And as you mentioned, only 3 field goals. Really very surprising performance. I think it's probably a little bit of both. Yeah, the Chiefs defense that played better than expected, and then the Cowboys offense just didn't look as good as expected. They, of course, were without Amari Cooper on the offensive side of the ball too.
Right. And last night, obviously, they didn't play very well against the Raiders. Our proxy's very excited about that win for the Raiders, but I'm not sure. Dallas, I think it's coaching. I think that they got a lot of talent. Now, granted, they were missing CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper last night. But we'll see how they got to turn it around. But I'm excited to see this Chiefs team play defense. I mean, this is the missing component that we've seen the last couple, season and a half or so. So maybe that will make in their first place in AFC now, AFC East or West, I mean. So
yeah, and now back into the lowest odds on the AFC side of the board to win the AFC Championship as well.
That's right. That's right. Last high I noted was the Eagles offense. We're confounded by this Eagles team. The Sharps. There we go. We always get some noise over here at the Edgewater studio. The Eagles, have been loved by this, kind of the metric guys out there. We're not quite sure why. I mean, their numbers are getting better, but they're facing a Saints team that defensively was great against the run, but they destroyed them. 242 yards on the ground there. And obviously, of all the people who picked them, we laid off this pick, thankfully. And the Eagles, they won kind of going away. I mean, the score really didn't indicate this game was a blowout. They got within, 12 points or some 13 points, but it wasn't even that close in this game.
Yeah, very surprising score line. I bet on the under in this first half and full game, which both turned out to be losers, primarily because the Eagles just put up a lot more points than expected. The Saints did get a few of themselves, though, at 29. Certainly a very interesting score line in the end by all the points and the yards on both sides.
Right. That's right. That's right. And of course, the little preview for next week, the Saints lost as well to the Bills, so they're hitting the skids a little bit. Yep. On the lows, it's the Titans offense. You were all over this one, action. I'm sorry I didn't go with you. We should have put in the Texans. They played really well, but it wasn't really. It's a little bit deceiving score line. 420 total yards for the Titans, but 5 turnovers. I mean, they outgained the Texans 420 to 190 in the game, but they lost the game, fairly handily. But those 5 turnovers were the key.
Yeah, I'm glad that you put that in there because I didn't really see that until I dove into the box score myself. Really looks like the Titans were probably the side there. The 5 turnovers just did them in.
Right, exactly. And then another low that I noted, and this has just been a theme over the last couple of years, and I thought Staley would be better for the Chargers, but the Chargers in big leads, this team cannot hold big leads. I don't understand what it is with this team. Now, we didn't go on this game, and actually this was an index pick for the Steelers, but the Chargers were up 27-10 in this game, going to the fourth quarter. They were really playing great, what we kind of expect the Chargers to be, but we've seen this last couple of years. The Steelers get 27 points in the fourth quarter, including a block punt and a really bad interception of our guy. What's his name again? Herbert Justin. And so they ended up covering the spread. They lose 40. The Steelers lost 41-37, but they covered the 6.5, which is more important for the contest and so on.
Yeah, this was really an incredible game. We were out watching it while having dinner on Sunday night, and just the back and forth. There was so much point spread drama in that fourth quarter too, with the Chargers holding a 14-point lead, and then the Steelers coming back to take the lead. I had somehow got a middle in this game because I had laid the Chargers -3.5 the week before, and then I took a little bit on the Steelers +7 right before kickoff, and so the 4-point margin was great for me.
Look at you, Captain Middle over here. Nice work. The last low was the Giants offense on Monday night. They were putrid, 215 total yards, 3 turnovers in the game against the Bucs, only 1 touchdown, and that was really because of a bad red zone interception by, it was like Mike Evans or something. It was a weird play, and they got the ball inside the 20, so that was the only way they scored. And our guy, the clapper, Jason Garrett, has been fired as the OC for the Giants. So Joe Judge was nary, he was very pissed at the end of that game. I heard that press conference, and he acted quickly and got rid of the clapper.
No, I haven't seen the press conference. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, he was like, we all have to be better to evaluate everything. Offense, he paused, defense. So, yeah, the Giants, I mean, we know they're not a very good team, but, man, they look bad. So. All right, let's talk about some injuries. This one obviously didn't really, it's already yesterday, but Justin Fields missed the game yesterday. We had the Red Rifle led the Bears to the resounding victory over the Lions, 16-14 yesterday. Uh, but Lamar Jackson, I don't know what his status is. He had this weird flu, whatever it was last week. Now they ended up winning the game against the Bears, but not covering the number. So he's key in the handicap. What have you seen on that, on Lamar?
I heard an update just yesterday, which one of the beat reporters, I can tell you who, was hinting at the fact that he may not be ready to go again this week, which I thought was really surprising because it must take some kind of illness to knock out a player for 2 weeks in the NFL. And definitely something that I want to read up on more before looking at that game.
Right. In that same game, Jarvis Landry, was questionable with a knee. Now, he's really their only passing weapon. Oh, that Cleveland offense. Now they kind of failed us in the contest, winning against Detroit 13-10. It just looked like they were just kind of mailing it in a little bit in that game. I figure they're gonna have to bring it a little more against Baltimore if Lamar's playing. If not, maybe seeing what's happening. But Jarvis was the only guy who scored a touchdown for the Browns and a rushing touchdown, but he did get knocked out in this game with his knee.
Yeah, Jarvis is definitely key to that offense along with Nick Chubb, but against the Ravens, you're not sure that the Browns will be able to have that much success on the ground. So Jarvis could become even more of an important factor.
Right. A couple big injuries. We'll talk about this later in the handicaps. Green Bay's taking on the Rams this week. They had a rough week. Bakhtiari is doubtful with an ACL injury, which probably means he's not going to play. And Elton Jenkins is out for the year now. Also with an ACL, which is kind of random. You put Aaron Rodgers as a pinky toe issue. I saw the stupid picture on Twitter. I'm showing everybody his toe. Nobody wants to see that, Aaron. But I guess that's why that line is moving towards the Rams. I was originally on the Pack, but
yeah, definitely. I think it has to do with Aaron Rodgers more than anything. I think it's pretty clear he's going to play, but was hobbled last week, evidently, and it looks like he's still going to be dealing with this toe injury. And Aaron Jones is still out too. Remember, we talked about that last week. He's obviously a key component of their offense too.
I mean, they still scored a lot of points against Minnesota, even with the hobbled Rodgers, but we'll see. Your guy for the Colts, Quentin Nelson, came up questionable with an ankle injury, and that's obviously he's key. Him coming back and the rest of the offensive line has really helped Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. So, they're facing that really difficult rush defense in Tampa this week. Have you seen any new reports on Nelson?
No, same as you've written here. Questionable was the latest I've seen. So certainly something to watch.
Okay. A couple other ones for the Chargers. I watched that Monday night. Asante Samuel Jr. is questionable with a concussion, and he obviously was getting picked on in that game a little bit. Leonard Floyd is also out of the concussion or in the concussion protocol for the Rams in that Rams Packers game. So we'll see what happens here. He's questionable. And you're going to get it. You're going to get what you wanted. You wanted Zach Wilson back for the Jets. I know that. I mean, the Michael Wright era is over. The Joe Flacco era has nearly started, and now they both have COVID. So you're going to get your Zach Wilson start this week.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that they brought in Joe Flacco, and then he just got most of the quarterback room sick. So obviously that was a mistake, and the Jets actually played pretty well last weekend, though, behind Flacco. Yeah. I was surprised by that performance. But back to Zach Wilson, who I think it's the right call. He certainly gives them the best chance to win, although I'm not sure they're really interested in winning.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. The last one, which I think is important, is TJ Watt for Pittsburgh. He missed the game on Monday night. He's questionable with his hip injury. That defense isn't as good with him off the field. I mean, I'm sure there's other injuries. I heard, Minkah Fitzpatrick as well. I don't have it on here, but they really, this vaunted defense from a year ago is not the same. TJ obviously being the primary pass rusher, but they're not stopping anything right now, run or pass.
No, they're not. Very overrated. They're 25th ranked per DVOA and 26 against the pass. So definitely not the same Steelers defense we're accustomed to.
All right. Well, let's go over the ratings action. The Wegs index isn't incredibly different, but you'll see. I can see DVOA is finally catching up to the Wegs index here. We got the Bills first, Cardinals second. I got the Bucks third, Patriots fourth, and it's close there. Cowboys. This is before the game last night. Colts, then Rams. DVOA looks like pretty similar Bucks cards, but you got, okay, Patriots hit 3. I knew they were coming up. Your
Yep.
Cowboys at 4, Bills, and then Rams. So obviously the Patriots are shooting up like a rocket.
Yeah. The Patriots are looking better every single week, and it's kind of funny that finally DVOA has caught up to the Wegs index in the Patriots.
That's right. What about the Colts? Where are they on the DVOA? Do you have that up?
Let me pull up the team. I think they're certainly in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get it to load here. 8.
Yeah, so they're right out the cusp. They're right there. I mean, they've been playing great on both sides of the ball. Tough opponent this week, so we'll see.
San Francisco is still up there too at number 7. That still surprises me.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
they played really well last week, and they have played actually 2 weeks in a row. We'll see if they can win. We'll talk about that in a minute. Well, let's go over the lines for Circa. You know, they came out yesterday. We're taping a little bit later than normal because of the holiday. So I don't know if we'll skip the first 3 games. You want to talk about these? I kind of mentioned a little bit on these first 3 games. You want to talk about them at all?
No, I don't really think there's much to say. The Bears got their win. The Lions lost again. Certainly, the Raiders' performance was surprising in my mind. I don't know any. And then the Bills came out and played well against a shorthanded Saints team.
Right. I mean, let's face it. I told our proxy that's probably the last win Vegas will have this year. I mean, they played great. They haven't scored points at all the last 3-4 weeks, and now all of a sudden they win gangbusters. You know, Dallas didn't look ready to play, but yeah, it's going to be interesting if the Lions. You know, they've had the worst season in NFL's history at 0-16, and they're on track for an 0-16-1 year. So, wow. Hopefully they get a win just for the tortured fan base. Well, let's talk about the big game. So the first one right on the card is really, really an important game. And the Titans are going to New England. Obviously, the Titans are struggling with some injuries, but New England opened as a 2.5-point favorite at home, 46.5-point total. They're up to 6.5 in the contest and 7 across the board, really, when you look at it out there with the 43.5-point total. So the total's ticked down. This is probably right. I mean, I have them. I do like New England in this game only because I look at I got them as an 8-point favorite. I'm interested to hear what you have to think. That looks like Circa's taking a stand that the Titans will get bet, or maybe they'll keep them off the 7. Is that what you're thinking with this line?
Yeah, interesting choice by 6.5 because there are still a couple of 7s that are out there, mostly offshore, it looks like. And one place has 5.5 now. So, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough game because on one hand, the Patriots are playing really well, but you also have a Patriots offense who isn't really prolific in putting up tons of points either. So It's really hard to think that they're going to cover such a large number on a pretty, at a 53% basis.
Right.
And so I do like the Patriots too, but I think it's just really tough to lay that number of points in this game. Tennessee and Vrabel has also had Belichick's number the last 2 meetings.
Right.
They've covered twice and won as underdogs.
Right.
So
what's
your thought?
Well, a couple of things I wanted to bring up on the podcast. I've heard, listen to Eason regularly. I don't know if it's Applebaum or one of these guys, one of these metrics guys, has been talking about this trend this year on when you have a team that didn't cover the spread against a team that did. The team that didn't cover the spread wins at like a 70% clip on that following week.
Yeah.
This is one of those matchups. Certainly, the metrics tell me that the Patriots are the better team. This is an appropriate line, if not short. I agree with you. I mean, we've kind of talked. I know you love Mac Jones. I think he's playing great for a rookie, but he's not doing much. This defense is scoring a defensive score every week. I mean, it's boosting their metrics, especially on the point scoring side. So at some point they're going to hit a dud, and I don't know. I mean, the Titans defense has actually played pretty well of late. So I think this, the total going down is indicative to me that yes, it's going to be a lower scoring game. So using the old, conjuring action from past seasons, 6.5, 7 points, pretty big spread for a low total game. I'd probably stay away, even though the metrics tell me to take the Patriots.
Yeah. I'm just not so sure on the other side that Tennessee is going to be able to score much, if at all, against the New England defense. They're now second ranked in DVOA, And we've seen the last several weeks that Tennessee can't do anything on offense without Derrick Henry and Julio Jones.
Right. Agreed. Well, for now, let's pass. Maybe we can talk myself back into New England, which I have them as a pick. So, I mean, it's kind of one of these things,
That's fair. I think we should highlight New England in yellow, to be honest with you. I mean, something we could dig into a little bit more, see if they have some sort of matchups on that offensive side.
Right. And now we only have 12 games to pick from, right? So we've got to pick 5 at 12. Okay, so the next game is a humdinger. It's your Jets going to Houston. Houston getting their big win. Tyrod Taylor. I mean, the guy's what, 2-2, or maybe because he's 2-3 as a starter now. 2-2, I think, as a starter.
Sounds right. Yeah.
So Houston opens a 3-point favorite at home, 46.5-point total. In the contest, it's 2.5, 44.5-point total. I mean, I just have this as the appropriate line. I know that, it seems like the Texans are playing better, but you never know. The Jets could get a boost. I mean, I don't think Zach Wilson's a great player, but you'd think that there'd be a little bit of juice for him coming back. He's seen these other guys play well. I think he's going to play one of his better games this year, to be honest with you. So I'd like to stay away in this crap fest personally, but what's your take?
Yeah, I agree. I think on one hand, it's tough to see a Houston Texans team favored in that game, but then on the other side, it is the Jets, so maybe it is appropriate. I just don't know what to expect from Zach Wilson coming back after the long layoff.
Right.
And on one hand, you would expect that he's going to bounce back and play well, but when looking at the metrics, the Houston Texans defense has actually been rising in the numbers. They're 10th ranked in DVOA. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the one unit in this game that has an advantage over the other three. So I don't think I would want to lay it with Houston. And I agree, it's probably a pass.
Right. I mean, Lovie Smith, he can't coach defense. He grows a crazy beard, but he can coach defense, and he's got those guys playing hard. So, all right, let's jump to the the sharps, or the metric guys, darling. The Eagles go to the Giants. The Eagles open as a 3-point favorite on the road, 46.5-point total. It's 3.5 in the contest, even though the market's about 3, 45.5-point total. So not a lot of move on the total there. At first blush, you got to take the Eagles, right, because they've been playing great. But this is a divisional matchup. That hook, the number's a bad number. We know that. It's not a great number, but they still show up to me in my metrics. I've got them as a 5-point favorite, even though they're on the road. So they're much better than the Giants. But, I don't know. You think removing the offensive coordinator is going to help this offense? This Eagles defense is decent, right?
Yeah, definitely. Philly, top half, 18, ranked defensively. I do think, though, that firing Jason Garrett ultimately is going to be a good thing for the Giants. Freddie Kitchens is now coming in to call plays, and we saw how successful they were when he coached the Browns several years ago. And I think that he's going to bring in a little bit of tricks to this offense, which might actually give them a boost this weekend. So I'm kind of following in line with you. I think that there's some value on the Giants, especially at this number. It's also going to be a very contrarian play. You've got the Eagles that are high flying, and we see money come in on them every week. So I think the Giants are going to be pretty low picked. Yeah,
and another one of those matchups that, the Eagles covered, the Giants didn't. 70%, whatever. I don't like to chase these kind of crazy trends, but I thought about it this week. I was looking at some of these matchups. So we can put yellow on the Giants.
And I was going to add, too, Saquon Barkley obviously still coming back from that injury. And I think he had like 10 or 12 carries last week, partly due to the game script. But you've got to figure he's going to continue getting healthy every week.
Yeah, they got to give him the ball. Daniel Jones is not good. They've got to feature him more. They got to use him like Carolina uses McCaffrey. You just have to get him involved in every way possible. Okay, well, here's a big matchup in the 1 o'clock window. This is Tampa going to the Colts. Tampa opened as a 3-point favorite on the road, 52-point total. Really hasn't moved from their contest and across. It's still 3 all across the board in the contest. And it's up to, between 52.5, 53-point total. So it's ticking up a little bit. I like the Colts still. I think that it's a little strange. And the Bucs are certainly going to turn the corner. I think that they showed it on Monday that they can buckle down and play. But this is a matchup of two really good teams. It's going to be a great football game. I don't know why the Bucs are this favored. I think that the number's probably a little inflated. I'm not sure why, just a Brady factor. But that's why I wanted to know about Nelson. I mean, are they going to be able to run the ball against this team, the Colts?
I mean, you've seen a little bit of success against Tampa running in the running game the last couple of weeks. I think Washington had some success, and the week before that, New Orleans Saints had some success on the ground.
Sure.
I know that one of the defensive tackles has been out for the Bucs. His name is escaping me now, and I believe he's set to return this week. Vita Vea.
Yeah.
And so that he's certainly a major factor in their run defense.
Sure.
But I do think, despite Quentin Nelson, and I have every expectation that he's going to play this weekend, by the way, I think that the Colts are going to be able to have some success on the ground and at the very least use the play action game and put the ball into Carson Wentz's hands and attack what is a pretty weak secondary for the Bucs.
Oh yeah.
So I think that I expect a big game out of the Colts passing attack too. And I like the Colts quite a bit. You also have seen a Bucs team that has been really dominant at home, but they are 0 against the spread on the road this season.
It's true.
0-6 or 5 by my count here. And a lot of those games were as favorites, obviously. So I think that catching points with the Colts at home is a good bet.
Yeah, I agree. Now the Colts had given up a lot of passing touchdowns, and obviously that's the strength really this year. I mean, Gronk looked good last week. I don't think Antonio Brown's playing again, but maybe he's back. I'm not sure. So, I mean, has the Colts defense, the passing defense, gotten better? Because I mean, it was getting torched for a while there.
Yeah, I mean, they have used a couple of big interceptions last week against Josh Allen. Rock Ya-Sin had a good one, and Xavier Rhodes, I think, has been playing a little bit better the last several weeks. They definitely miss Blackman, though, the secondary safety. There's no doubt about that. But I do think that they are playing better the last several weeks.
Okay. Well, I'm comfortable putting this in green action, but if you want to talk me out of it on Saturday, that's fine. We're both on this side, so we love the Colts. I got my Colts jersey. I'm going to the Four Shadows today. Pay homage to the Colts bar.
No, I like the Colts a lot too. I don't have any intent of talking you out of it, but certainly injuries could change that come Saturday.
Right. Okay, another wonderful game on the card. This one should have been shipped to London, by the way. Atlanta is going to Jacksonville. It opened as a pick, 48-point total, and it's really still at a pick in the contest. But you're looking at 2.5 for Atlanta on the road here. 46-point total, roughly. It's gone down. So what's going on? What's driving this number? Because I do have the Jags actually better in the index, not by much. I mean, they're very close. So what's making this number go from the pick to 2.5? I think I saw at Rivers it's 1.5 this morning. So there's some love, obviously going on Atlanta. What's the story?
I think it's Cordarrelle Patterson.
Okay.
He didn't play last week on Thursday night against the Patriots, and it was pretty evident that the Falcons missed him offensively because that allowed Belichick and the defense just to focus on Pitts, and that was all she wrote. And with Patterson in the lineup, he has been extremely dynamic, both running and catching the ball out of the backfield. And I think if he's in the lineup, it really gives the Falcons offense another edge, especially against the Jaguars. And I'm guessing that's the major move in the number.
Do you really think he's worth like 1.5 to 2 points?
Yeah. So at least this season and on this football team, definitely.
So you think there's value in Atlanta?
I do. Yeah, I like the Falcons a lot in this game. I think their offense is set up to have some success against the Jaguars.
We can put it as a yellow. I don't know if you can talk me in. These bad teams. I know the road teams have been dominating, so that kind of is the only reason why I'm gravitating toward it. But Jacksonville's played good the last 3 weeks. They're playing pretty good. I mean, they're not getting torched anymore. They're playing better defense. I think they've kind of controlled the offense a little more. They're competitive, but I hear you. I mean,
the Niners put a hurting on them last weekend, but
sure.
A couple weeks before that, they did play tough.
Yeah, last week was the Niners. That was their coming out party. But I mean, they're a much better team than Atlanta, I think.
Agreed.
Okay, so next game, Carolina, Miami. Miami's riding a winning streak here, but they're at home hosting Carolina. Carolina opened as a 1 point favorite on the road, 44-point total. It's 2 points in the contest, anywhere between 1.5 and 2 on the market, 42.5 point total, so that it's ticked down. This is going to be a slugfest. You know, Cam Newton did play pretty good last week against Washington, even though they lost. I'd be on Carolina here. I know I don't like the 2. I like the 1, but it's really about the same number, right? Action. It's not a big difference there.
Mhm.
Not sure about your take on it. Do you think that Miami has an answer for, the run game of Carolina? And obviously they got to score against Carolina's good, off defensive line.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough in this game because I don't really know what to expect out of Newton. We didn't really see him throw it all that much last week. And
Right.
I think that the Dolphins coach, as a disciple of Belichick's, will probably take a page out of his defensive playbook and try to find some ways to stop that Carolina running game.
Sure.
However, though, McCaffrey is obviously a big game changer there. And on the flip side, I agree with you, though. I think that the Carolina defense is set up to have some success against Miami's offense. And to be honest, I don't really have an opinion on this game. I would probably just chalk it up as a stay away.
Okay.
But if you have some conviction on the Carolina Panthers, you certainly could talk me into it, I would guess.
Well, it probably won't be a highly picked game.
True. That's true.
But to your point, I mean, like, do I trust Carolina more than Atlanta? I do.
Yeah.
Even though Jacksonville's a dog. I mean, they're not good, right? But I just kind of feel like Miami, even though they played good against Baltimore, that was kind of an outlier. They played good the last 3 games with Tua back, but I don't know if they played anybody, right? They're not playing great teams. I'm not saying Carolina's great, but they're kind of in that middle tier where they're good enough against certain teams. And I do think Cam makes a difference. I just think he gives them that physicality that they can be on offense, especially around the goal line, and a good compliment to McCaffrey, really, because McCaffrey's obviously finesse and speed, and they can run different things with Cam. You're right; he's got to throw the ball better, but I don't know.
Do you expect that Cam is going to see some improvement week in and week out over the next several weeks?
Improvement. Well, if he faces like a Belichick defense, no,
Mm-hmm.
right? If he faces somebody, I just don't think Miami has that kind of defense. They last year were so good at turning the ball over, but they were a bend but not break defense. This year, I mean, yeah, they all out blitzed, Lamar Jackson on Thursday night, and that worked. Maybe that can work against Cam. He can't throw the ball. I'm not sure, but I think the weapons that Carolina has on the outside are much better, than the Ravens, for example. DJ Moore and Anderson are better. Plus, you get McCaffrey out of the backfield. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not like strongly convicted on the Panthers, but they're an index pick, actually. They're an index.
Okay. Well, let's highlight it. We can talk about it some more in the morning.
Sure. All right. So, last game, the 1 o'clock window. Pittsburgh's going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati, got a big win at the Raiders last week. They open as a 4-point favorite at home, 46.5 point total. It's 4.5 in the contest, not too much more. 45-point total. Weird game, right? This divisional game. We know Tomlin's good against, as a dog. I don't love this number, but the Bengals on paper are better than the Steelers. Mm-hmm. But are they 4.5 points better? I don't know about that.
Yeah, you see now some 3.5s that are popping up in the market too. So it looks like there is some money coming in on the Steelers side. Mm-hmm. I just have a really hard time betting on the Steelers. I have really no interest in taking that side at all for the contest purposes. Right. Do you think that if TJ Watt is ruled out, though, that could sway your opinion a little bit?
Well, in full disclosure, the Bengals are an index pick. If I follow the index blindly, I mean, it's a light line. It's like supposed to be 7 in my view. 6 or 7. But to me, I'm like, dude, it's a divisional game. To these divisional road dog. This is the Applebaum theory. This is a good pick for the Steelers because of divisional road dog. And they, as bad as they were defensively, they covered last week against the Chargers on the road. So this is classic Tomlin. So I'm okay to stay away from it though. not to get on the wrong side if we want to.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati did get them in the first game this week or this year in Pittsburgh. So, and it looks like they beat them last year at home as well in the previous meeting, covering a 14.5 point spread. So, maybe the Bengals have something against the Steelers, but I am with you though. 4.5 is just a tough number to take.
Right. Well, let's jump to the 4 o'clock window. We got the Chargers against Denver. Chargers open as a 2.5 point favorite on the road, 48 point total. They're now a 3 point favorite in the contest, even the market's still about 2.5, and it's still around that number, 48, 47.5 point total. Explain me this one, Action. Is there a change of quarterback for Denver? What's going on? Denver, I don't love Denver. Don't get me wrong. My dad loves Denver. He came here with his Peyton Manning jersey. Dude, you grew up in Chicago. What are you doing? But Denver's better on paper than the Chargers. I love the Chargers. I love that, just in general, I like Staley, but, Broncos defense is pretty good, and they played fine without Miller. Their offense isn't great, but they're at home. That's got to be an advantage. This is a little bit of a strange line for me.
Yeah, it does seem kind of strange. I haven't seen any news on Bridgewater the last time they played. I think they were on bye last week. And the week before that, obviously, there was a lot of commotion in the media about how Bridgewater shied away from the tackle on that interception return and what have you. But I don't think that there was any question about whether or not he's going to start the next game.
Right.
So I'm with you. I think that there's a lot of value on the home underdog Broncos in this game, specifically from a defensive standpoint. They've been playing really well. They are rushing the quarterback even without Chubb and Von Miller. And I think at home that they play tough. And you have Bridgewater in his familiar underdog role too. So I like the Broncos in this game.
Yeah, me too. I have them. They should be favored in this game. I don't understand. Like the metrics, besides the eye test, you love Herbert. I mean, guys, throws a beautiful ball, and they got so many weapons and all yada yada. But that defense, there's something wrong with that defense. Staley's a really good coach. They were talking. Did you watch the telecast on Monday night, or you were traveling or something? Right?
No, we were watching it, but not the audio.
They were really talking about how the Chargers basically allow you to run the football. They're like, go ahead and run, because we just don't want to give up 10 yards. We'll give up 4 yards, on a run. And in the end, it flips the time of possession, right? They're almost never possessing the ball more than the other team. And so it puts Herbert in a position where he's got to be a hero maker. He's got to make big plays, and he usually does. They've got great players. But Denver's one of these teams that, Steady Teddy, can just grind it out. They got good running backs. I really like Williams in this game.
Yeah.
They're a fantasy guy. So, yeah, I'm all over the Broncos here.
All right, let's color it green. I like it too. I agree that the Broncos running backs are in for a huge game this week.
Okay, we've got Minnesota going to San Francisco. San Francisco coming off the big win against the Jags, and Minnesota had the big win against the Pack. San Francisco opens as a 2.5 point favorite at home, 48 point total. It's 3 in the contest, which is about the market, 48.5 to 49 point total. Can the Niners win at home? Can they, right? And B, cover a number? I don't know. Like these teams are very even in the index for me, so it's kind of more of a pick. So getting laying 3 points is a lot. But maybe San Francisco's turned the corner. Kittle is back. That's a big offensive boon. Deebo Samuel's playing great. I'm not sure what to make of this game. Action is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know on one hand that Santa Clara has like 0 home field advantage for the Niners. So if you're showing that the teams are pretty well even on a neutral field, then getting 3 points with the underdog Vikings seems like a slam dunk to me just by the math.
Right.
And I too like the Vikings. I think that they really had their coming out party last week against the Packers, which has a pretty overrated defense in their own right. And I think the Niners defense is still overrated. So I believe that Kirk Cousins and team are going to have a big game on Sunday. And I think their offense has really been picking up the pace the last several weeks. You've seen Dalvin Cook get pretty healthy. and Jefferson and Thielen are doing their thing on the outside.
Right, right. Should be a fun game. I think both teams will probably score. So I'm surprised this total hasn't ticked up. That key number 49. I mean, that's obviously the Mendoza line, but I kind of see some points in this game. So yeah, I'm okay. Let's put it yellow. I don't know if I'm going all in on the green, but it seems like it makes sense. I mean, all the typical things we talk about with not just the 49ers, but road teams, road dogs, all this stuff works in our favor.
Yep.
All right, last in the 4 o'clock window is the marquee game. There's only 3 games in the 4 o'clock window this week. Rams going to Green Bay. You know, I talked about at the top, you know, Green Bay opens a 1.5-point favorite and, you know, 50-point total. In the contest, it's a pick. On the market, it's 1 to 1.5 for the Rams now. So I'm asking you to make sense of this because, look, I guess in kind of general speaking, last year, you know, with Goff, they were a dog on the road at Green Bay. I mean, if the teams were equal. Now you've got Stafford. I don't think Stafford's all that great. Now he's played good against the Green Bay in the past, especially Lambeau. But I guess if the bottom line is if Rodgers is hurt, maybe that's the way to go. Then I want to stay away. The Pack always cover at home, dude. I mean, we've talked about this a million times. They always cover at home.
Yeah, they do have a good home field advantage there. I was looking back at the head-to-head, and for some reason I thought these teams have played a lot more recently, but the only recent meeting that really means anything was the playoffs last season,
right?
When Green Bay got the cover, laying 7 points at home. But this is a different Rams team with Stafford at quarterback. You talked about it. He's used to playing in Lambeau Field, and he's certainly a very large step up from what Goff was at the helm of this team. And I think that the Packers defense is supremely overrated. And I think that the Rams are going to be able to get healthy a little bit in this spot. Now, I'm not sure that the running game is necessarily set up to take advantage against the Packers run defense.
Right.
But Stafford has been really bad the last 2 outings. And I think that they're going to turn it around this week.
Okay, so you're following the action. I mean, the people are betting on Rams. Number keeps moving their way.
Yeah.
Ugh, good action. I can't do it, bro. I mean, if you know, Saturday morning we understand that, you know, whatever, Rodgers is going to be working on one leg, maybe, you know, because then they get after him. And I know that Jones is out, but I think Dillon's a heck of a running back. The Rams haven't played well. You know, so it's just counterintuitive to me. I get what you're saying. Maybe it's a get right spot for them, but Pack losing 2 in a row. I don't know. All that stuff's working against me mentally. It's a lot of, I don't know. It's a lot of anecdotal data, not necessarily real data, but.
I mean, full disclosure, I followed Adam Chernoff on Monday morning and took plus 2.5 with the Rams. So
yes,
now the contest is a pick. And you're seeing the number move to the direction of the Rams. They're favored now. Which gives me some indication that there may be a bigger picture with Aaron Rodgers here. It's the line almost tells you that it's like a middle ground, like half Rodgers in, half Rodgers out. Because if Rodgers is ruled out, you could see this game going to like Rams minus 4.5 or 5, probably.
No question. No question. Well, if he goes to a game time decision, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? If I know he's going to be likely ruled out, because, you know, it's a huge step down, you know, we go to the backup here, but I don't know. Like, maybe you're right. But we've also fallen for this. We've taken the cheese before here, right? We took it with Murray. We took it with, who was the other guy? It was Dak.
Yeah.
We've taken this twice this year. I'm not saying that the, you know, Packers are going to do what those guys did, but I mean, we followed we thought it was a free square last time, twice. So I'm willing to stay away from it and just say, look, the Pack usually cover at home. Again, Jordan Love's not going to cover, but who knows? You know what I mean? He got his
probably the better
out of his system.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the 2 marquee games. The Cleveland goes to Baltimore. We mentioned this already. Baltimore opens a 5.5-point favorite at home, 48-point total. It's 3.5 now in the contest and across the board for the Ravens, and 46.5-point total. So we still think Lamar is in flux whether he's playing. You to me, when I looked at the line from it's right on the number where it should be at 3.5. So 5.5 would have been great for Cleveland, but 3.5 seems like the right market, even if Lamar does play. So I'm not sure it's a great pick either way.
Yeah, I'm really thinking this is a stay away spot. I mean, this spread tells you that Lamar Jackson is in. I would say. I mean, they did win the game last week against the Bears with the backup Hundley. Was it Brett Hundley that ended up starting?
I don't know if it's Brett. It's a different Hundley, but he was his first start.
Tyler Huntley, maybe.
That sounds right.
Anyway, he's not Lamar Jackson. So this is a really tough game. And on the other side, you've got the Browns with so many injuries too. Baker Mayfield still on an injury report with his knee. And the offensive line still has some question marks, although I think most of them are going to play, Treader and company. I prefer just to stay away too, especially on Sunday Night Football. It's kind of been our mantra this season, and I think it served us pretty well.
Yeah, it has. It has. Okay, I'm game. The Monday Night Football matchup is Seattle going across the country to Washington, the football team. Washington came up, they have 2 wins in a row. Ron Rivera's got it going. Seattle opened as a 3.5-point favorite in this one. I don't know when that was shown. 48-point total. Washington is now a 1-point favorite in the contest at home. The market's about 1.5 to 1, and then 46.5-point total. So the totals tick down. I mean, it's really weird. These metrics, obviously the Wegs index isn't perfect, but it does technically have Seattle's a better team. I'm not sure why at all. But the line is appropriate, I guess, is what I'm saying. Because I give them a little bit, like basically Seattle would be right. It'd be about a pick, which is what a 1-point pick. It's close, but I like Washington. I don't know why Seattle. I'm not saying that they can play good on maybe Monday night for Pete Carroll. It seems like they're swooning a little bit. Washington's got some momentum. They're playing pretty good football right now.
Yeah, and Seattle on the other side, Seattle looks terrible.
Yes.
They got thoroughly dominated by Arizona last week. And I still have question marks about Russell Wilson and his health. And even beyond Russell Wilson, I think the rest of their offense has just been playing very poor lately, Metcalf included. And I think that Washington on the other side is a team that's trending positively. And I agree with you. I like Washington in this game.
Yeah, so I don't really see, 1 point's great. It's like a pick 'em. So, if that's this goes against our Monday night, stay away from Monday night mantra, but it seems like this would be, sorry, Ridgeway, but we like Washington in this one.
Yeah, definitely.
We going yellow here?
I think we can put green on this game.
Wow, take that, Ridge. She'll text me tomorrow morning when she asks for picks, and I'll say, listen to the podcast. Well, let's go over our picks that we've gone over today. There's only, obviously said, 12 games to pick from, so it's limited. We both are thinking about New England, although that's a tough number, 6.5 at home. The Giants, we kind of like going against the grain here. 3.5, they're getting 3.5 at home against the Eagles. We both love the Colts here, getting 3 at home against the Bucs. The 2 games that are kind of on the cusp are Atlanta. It's a pick against Jacksonville on the road. Carolina being favored 2 points at Miami. And then a couple of the other games, Denver, we're kind of all in on Denver, plus the 3 at home against the Chargers. And we just mentioned Washington -1 at home against Seattle. And then the other game that we're definitely contemplating is Minnesota, getting the 3 points on the road against San Francisco. So we've got some more than I thought we'd have action. So yeah, we got 3 greens. We just got to decipher some of those yellows for us.
Yeah, definitely a healthy menu that we can choose from tomorrow morning.
That's right. Well, let's go over the contest update. I thought that the guys would slow down at the top, but my God, action, 42-13 after 55 picks. That's 76.36% for the top guy. It's actually one guy now. So that's incredible. We probably can't catch that guy, but who knows? The top 50 is really kicking ass too. They're 37-18 overall, 67%. So that's a little high. I mean, that's higher than last year. These guys are really dominating. I do think there'll be a correction at some point. We're hanging tough with the 3 and 2. After week 11, that puts us at 52.7%. That's solid. You know, we want to get up to 60, but we're still hanging in the middle there. Still like upper third, you know, 1,481st right now. So we've got a couple more weeks in this quarter action, and then, you know, we've got the 5-week quarter to finish out. What are you thinking?
I think that we need a 4-1 or a 5-0 week here to get us right back on track.
We do. We do. Yeah, I think so too. I think if we can just get, you know, and obviously a lot of it's luck and everything or just whatever. I mean, do I think we were on the right side in that Dallas Chiefs game? Yeah, I think we were. I mean, they gave 19 points to the Chiefs. How do you not cover that number?
True.
But, you know, they couldn't get it, the score in, and Cleveland really, I think Cleveland was the one who let us down this time, which is, come on, Browns.
So, yeah, they were 13-0 at halftime, and then they just let up in the second half.
Yeah, they're like, they can't score. Well, we're cool with this. Well, anyway. All right. Well, you know, enjoy the rest of your trip action. Hopefully you get back safely. You know, next week we'll have to talk about the schedule because I unfortunately am doing not fortunately, I'm going to have a great time, but we're going to Philly for my company party, and
nice.
I'll be flying out Thursday afternoon and then being busy on Friday. So we got to work out the schedule. So we'll get it out as soon as we can. America, I know our loyal listeners want us. And so thanks for listening and spread the joy. We're doing pretty well. If you're following all of our picks, you know, week over week, we're doing pretty damn good, not just the contest picks, and we're giving you good information.
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't know about your bankroll, but my NFL season has been extremely positive. Had a monster weekend in Vegas as well, which helped mitigate some table game losses. But I think that our NFL picks have been very good this season.
No, I agree. I'm whatever, a lot of units. So 15, 20 units, whatever it is, doing really well. So
nice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter. Follow me at Wegs Pool on Twitter and Instagram.
And follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, everybody. Talk to you next week.
Peace out, America.